So I've been covering boxing for a few years now, and there's been a lot of chatter as it relates to who's the toughest fighters, who quits the most. And since I live in LA, I go to a lot of Latino cards, whether they're from Nicaragua, Mexico, Colombia, and so on and so forth, Brazil. And but when I always hear when a black fighter fights a Latin fighter, most notable a Mexican fighter, they always say Mexicans never quit. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, every fighter quits. Uh, I've covered 3 fights this year, and I've seen Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. quit. I've seen Willie Monroe Jr. quit. I saw on TV this past weekend David Lemieux quit. He looked at the ref and basically insinuated that he should stop the fight. And lastly, which is the most shocking, I saw Lucas Matisse quit in the ring. Now, they have this notion that Mexican are the toughest fighters, black fighters run, Cuban fighters are the most disciplined. But when in reality, when you getting your ass kicked in the ring and you don't see no way out, the best way out of that ring is to quit. And it was obvious. I'm thinking back to October 3rd when Postel, man, he was landing 4 or 5, 6 jabs in a row, constantly. And Matisse looked up and was like, there's no way I'm going to win this fight. And it's not, I don't know what was wrong with his eye, but the reality is, if you got a jab in your face every 2 or 3, 4 seconds, something bad is going to happen to your eye. And most importantly, he didn't have a game plan to defeat Postel behind that jab, although he knew that his jab was going to be the key to winning the fight. So I would blame that on his team. And Willie Monroe at the Forum, I saw Willie Monroe. Willie Monroe got hit somewhere in the 2nd and 3rd round. And Willie Monroe, I'm sitting 5 rows from the ring. Willie Monroe looked at Triple G and was like, I have to find a landing spot. It's just no way in hell I can compete with this man. And it's just amazing how people misinterpret the reality of what goes on in the ring. When fighters don't really believe they can win, if you don't have knockout power, they trying to get out of there. And that's just the reality of it. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. against Fonfara. I mean, from round 4 on, I think he quit at the end of the 8th, going into the 9th, I believe. You watch that fight, it's no way Cesar Chavez was going to win that fight. He took too many punches to the head, and he took so many punches. You're asking God to stop this fight somehow, some shape or fashion. It probably don't look as bad on TV, but you can hear it. When Fonfara was landing them punches, like a dudding sound. If you guys have been to fights, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It was just, it was horrific, you know. And you just want the ref to stop the fight somehow, shape or fashion. And when he got knocked down, you like, there's no way in hell he's gonna win the fight. And I'm glad that the Goossen team stopped that fight, because he couldn't have won that fight. But getting back to the premise of this video, styles. Regardless if you have a great style, all styles will be considered great. But if you're a come forward fighter, like the typical Mexican fighter, whether you're the agile, defense first, counterpunch, black slick fighter as they call them, or whether you're the Cuban discipline, don't get hit, use your footwork, stay behind the jab, stay on the bicycle, that type of fighter. Regardless of who you are, if you're getting the shit beat out of you in the ring, and you know, because you've gone through the amateur ranks, you've gone through the Olympics, you've gone through you're a professional fight, you know when there's no way in winning, and you're trying to find a landing spot, and you try and find a make a way so it don't look like you quit. You know, you give the ref the signal, you tell your corner to stop the fight, but in reality, everyone quits. If you There's no distinction of class, color, creed, financial demographic. I don't care what you say. Uh, Everyone quits in the ring. It doesn't matter who you are. The worst quit I've ever seen in recent history was Rubio against was it Gennady Golovkin? I think it was Gennady Golovkin, or was it Rubio against Keith Thurman? It was one of them two fights, and it was just horrific. He was waiting to get out of there, and I just I hear all the chatter, you know, when you're covering all these fights, and you hear the Mexican fans, you hear the Latin fans talk saying Mexican fighters are tougher. It's just your style, you know. Come forward, flat foot, stay behind your power right, or if you're left, or if you're southpaw, stay behind the power left. Throw as many punches as possible. The object of the fight is to win, and the less punishment you take as a fighter, the more coherent you'll be when you retire, and you'll have jobs like the Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman, as we talk about fighters, Roy Jones, um, Andre Ward, um, Paulie Malignaggi. You know, the list goes on and on. But it bothers me a bit when I wouldn't say it bothers me. That's the wrong choice of words. But you're not being fair to other fighters when, although it's a marketing ploy, you know, you want to adhere to your primary audience. You know, I would say in America, I would say Latinos are the primary audience in terms of getting people to buy tickets to the fight and buy beers and buy merchandising, and they're the most loyal. You know, I would say they spend the most money as a whole, especially in Los Angeles. I mean, this it's no way around it. You know, I go to the LA LA Fight Club that Oscar De La Hoya puts on, and it's an amazing event. It doesn't translate well on TV, but in person, oh man, it's like you're in the back room and you're watching two fighters fight, and only one is coming out alive. It's rarely any decisions. People are getting knocked out left and right there, and it's an exciting brand of boxing or fighting, if you want to call it. But I just want to touch on this point. Everyone quits. There's no exception to the rule. The most shocking quit I've ever seen recently was Lucas Matthysse. I mean, you talk about me being excited for a fight. I still love, well, we'll see. But I don't know what that did to him. But I'm a huge Lucas Matthysse fan. I mean, it's no way around it. When I saw he didn't get up, I wish I could have recorded my organic reaction. I couldn't believe it. He was on one knee, and I was waiting on him to get up, and he allowed the ref to count him out. He was coherent and everything. So, you know, I seen Andre Berto fight 12 rounds with one hand, you know, against Soto Kara. So there's many great stories. You know, I've seen Robert Guerrero in June be knocked out on his feet against Aaron Martinez and get up and say, you know what, I'm not fighting no more. I'm staying behind this jab, and I'm going to win this fight. You know, there's so many stories about being tough. There's so many, you know, toughness is it's not the style of fighting, it's who you are. You know, it's just who you are. You know, it's not because you're Mexican, not because you're black. That may play into it, affecting how you're raised. You know, I would say Mexicans and blacks typically they have different culture entities that allow them to be different. But at the end of the day, I mean, your soul is who your soul is. You know, Chavez Jr. Down on every card, needed a knockout in the 12th round. Sugar Ray Leonard needed a knockout in the last round. You know, it's just who you are. You know, that determines your toughness. You know, it's not because you're Mexican, not because you're black, not because you're Cuban, not because you're Haitian. You know, it's who you are. It's who your soul is, you know. And I've seen the most popular nationalities quit in the ring. And I've seen the most popular nationalities show toughness, win or lose in the ring, and go through hell to win the fight. So I know it's a marketing ploy. It keeps the butts in the seats, but in reality, if you're getting your ass kicked, you're trying to find a way out. It's like basketball is my primary sport that I play today. Uh, if I'm down 8-1, well, if I'm playing pickup basketball, if I'm down 8-1, I'll make a push. I'll equate 8-1 down to being down, five rounds in a fight. You make a push in the next round, and if you make no headway, you still getting your ass kicked. You're trying to find a landing spot. You know what? I'll come back next Saturday and play basketball, and that's the reality of it. Because at the end of the day, these fighters' money is guaranteed. Uh, so you should give more credit to the guys who, when the money is still guaranteed, and they get up off that canvas and they still fight. That's why we grow to love our favorite fighters. Just for being tough and being athletic and being skilled and more importantly, winning. So I just want to touch on that subject about who quits the most, who's the toughest. If you get in that ring, you're tough enough for me. I tell you that much. Making that long walk, as Andre Berto calls it, taking that long walk is not made for everyone. And I'm here to tell you, I have no plans of getting in the ring. I enjoy covering boxing, but you won't see me in the ring taking that long walk. I'm an astute student of boxing. I love boxing, and that's just my take on it. I love sitting in the first 10 rows and watching these guys give everything in the ring, and me giving my best assessment of what I see. So, Barbershop Conversations, I appreciate you guys' support. And this is just a topic that came to my mind just because when I walk into these gyms, and I'm covering fighters, and you hear the surrounding fans and you hear everyone talking, but in reality, it's who you are inside that determines how tough you are. It's not your race. It's you either have it or you don't. LeBron James has it. Victor Ortiz doesn't have it. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather has it. Cesar Chavez Jr. has it. Aaron Pryor has it. Muhammad Ali has it. There are plenty of fighters who don't have it, who can't show up in the big fights. So Barbershop Conversations, I appreciate you guys' support, and I look forward to bringing you guys some more boxing content. Thanks, guys.